Hi, Taylor. I am so excited to talk to you. I just finished telling you.
Hi. I'm excited to talk to you.
Yes. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's a beautiful day. I'm in Atlanta. I love when the sun is out. Yesterday it was very stormy, so
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
looking forward to the sun and the warmth of the day.
Absolutely. So I just want to start by saying something to you that I want everyone who watches this interview to know. I met you at the duplicity screening. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I came to the screening. I was like, I don't know which way I'm supposed to go. And you came walking up. And I happened to turn around and my first instinct was, Kimmy, girl, we got to go find your sister. But I saw you, you came up and I said, Hi, Taylor. And you were so sweet and kind. And the reason why I want to point that out is because I've been in media for 15 years. And when you meet people, especially someone who has the biggest, we talking the biggest show on television, you just kind of don't know what you're going to get. And you were just so kind and sweet. And I was like, yeah, I'm getting ready to press her for an interview. I have to talk to Taylor. So I
Thank
just want to tell you, I appreciate you for that because celebrities are like a box of chocolates.
you.
Sometimes
You never know.
you just don't know what you're going to pull out. So I just wanted to give you your flowers just for, in addition to being beautiful and incredibly talented, you are a good human being. And I appreciate that.
I appreciate that so much. That might be like the best introduction I've ever gotten because that's what really matters. Is
Yeah.
how you are as a real person. So thank you for that.
No problem. So let's get into Beauty in Black. We have the one and only Miss Kimmy here with us today. I'm just so excited because I watched the series. Netflix sent me over like, hey girl, check out this. Here's we're gonna let you get a little sneak peek at the trailer. And
Yeah.
they sent me the synopsis, and I'm like, oh, this about to go. This is about to go. Stephen G. Norfleet, he's my homie from back in the day. And I'm just
Amazing.
Yes, and I'm just looking at this cast, Malik Whitfield, and I'm just like, oh, this is about to go. The premiere, the drop, right? We all started watching. And
Mhm.
the moment you came on the screen, girl, I probably took my earrings off, tucked in my necklace, because I was like, oh, see, I'm going to have to fight for Kimmy. But
Oh,
just talk to me about the success of the show. Let's just start there with the success of the show. How are you feeling?
you know, it, it feels good, but I'll
Mhm.
go deeper into that. It
Okay.
overall, it feels so good. But I think on a more personal level, as an artist, I've been in other shows that have done really, really well, shows
Mhm.
people haven't watched as much. So I don't put a lot of emphasis on how it's received. I can't.
Okay.
I get my satisfaction and I know I've done a good job if I went to work every day and gave it my all. And if the people who I did and created that show with are happy, then I let it go.
Mhm.
So if it does really well, of course it makes me happy. And if people have other things to say, it's kind of like, well, I did my best. We enjoyed making it. So whatever
Right.
you want, because it is subjective what we do.
Yes.
However, for this, especially to be the first show that I'm leading on a platform like Netflix
Mhm.
with Tyler Perry, I knew that it was very special. So I already had so much gratitude for the experience, but to see it be received in the way that it has been, I don't think I could want anything more. When you have an audience that is entertained, engaging, memeing, like it's a part of the culture. And I love when people walk up to me, Kimmy, where's your sister? And it's like we know that when we've evoked certain emotions
Yes.
or reactions out of people, then I did my job. I did
And
my
you did
job.
your big one. You did your big one, Taylor. You
I
did your
did my
big
big one.
one.
Thank you.
I just want to talk about the role of Kimmy because while we're watching and we love every minute of the drama and all the madness, the role of Kimmy was pretty heavy.
Yeah.
If you really look at it for what it is, Kimmy, a victim of was sex trafficking, and then having to go into the life of the strip club. Some people like to go down to the strip club like Jocelyn, but then there's others, who don't have the choice. They don't have a choice in the matter. Talk to me about just playing a role that is heavy, but it's messaging that needs to have a light shown on it, because this is a very real problem in the world right now.
Absolutely. Obviously we're in a heightened, fictional, heavily dramatized world, but like you said, there are Kimmys out there. I
Mhm.
know some message me in my DMs on Instagram. It is a real representation of the type of person and the type of situations that women can find themselves in or put themselves unknowingly in, young women especially. Um, and when it comes to human trafficking, like that was one of the things that I learned when researching about her. Because it's kind of like, why doesn't she just leave? Why doesn't she just, get up? That was my naive thinking, not understanding the years of trauma and abuse. And sometimes women and men don't even realize they are in a trafficking ring. You think you're making these decisions, but honestly, you've been manipulated. So I think one of the biggest things that I'm sorry, you asked what did I take away from Kimmy or what did
No,
I
not even, I
learn?
didn't even get to that part. It was just the aspect of to
Because it's
like
so
just
heavy.
speaking on such a heavy topic, and having to come
Yeah,
into that and deal with that role, well, I know Tyler films pretty fast, but just having to sit in that character and, knowing that these are real life situations, like you said, Kimmy's, and you're not just portraying a super fictional character, but a real life situation that some women are living with every day, and men, are living
yeah.
with.
Well, I have my different methods as an actor to kind of separate myself from the character, because there are some moments, even if I rationalize, I know I'm in a safe place and the environment absolutely on set, especially some of the things that Kimmy had to do is so safe. Everybody's, are you okay? Are you
Yes,
okay? Is everything
yes.
okay? Because it was, especially part 1, she was crying and getting beat up the whole time.
Brutalized. Yeah.
Yeah. So the environment on set helped. And then also my process is to kind of come out of it. I love music. So being able every time after I rap, I put on my Taylor playlist to kind of come out of some of the characters that I've played. So I definitely did that. And then I think too, knowing that this is a reality for people, it made me want to portray it as authentically as possible and to learn some of the survivors of trafficking. What was their story to get out of it? What was the thought process when things started to click that this wasn't right? And that's kind of just where I focused my attention to just ground it. The story within itself provided more than enough context and action to get me there, but yeah, I don't sit in it outside of being on set and learning the material. I have to come out of it. And honestly, with season 1, I was planning my wedding. We wrapped and I went and got married. So I had a bit of a
Yes.
transition to bring me back to real life too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Another thing that I wanted to talk to was Kimmy's character arc, right? In part 1, because a lot of people, like, I did a lot of coverage of the series, especially on TikTok, right? So I'm like, okay, y'all get ready because Beauty and Black got renewed for season 2, and someone responded, "I just watched season 2." I said, "No, boo boo, you
It's
just
kind of
watched
confusing.
part 2." Like, no, baby, you didn't watch season 2, you watched part 2.
Yeah.
But the character arc, we watch Kimmy get brutalized, she's in this environment and she's just trying to survive basically. But it always takes that one thing. You don't mess with somebody's family. And when you
Yeah.
saw they had baby sis, something snapped in our girl Kimmy,
Hmm.
and she went from Mary Had a Little Lamb in part 1 to Liam Neeson, because I got a special set of skills
Right.
in part 2. I got a special set of skills. And for me, I loved watching her, even though it was drenched in trauma and madness, but I loved watching her like take back her power
Yeah.
and do what she had to do for her baby sister. And then the icing on the cake was like the satisfaction at the end when she got her.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So I love that. I really, really love that. Are you able to kind of hint or like do eye movements or to wiggle your nose as far as what we can expect in season two?
So I can't, of course, give any
Of course.
spoilers,
Of course. Of
and I
course.
won't give the spoiler that happened at the end of the
And I'm
season just in case,
yes, and I'm trying to
somebody
do that as
hasn't
well.
watched
Mhm,
it.
mhm.
But I think you can continue to expect the unexpected with that information,
Yes,
and I will leave it there. But
absolutely.
it was one of those things. I mean, I knew her entire arc, like you said, the arc of her. It is like every actor's dream to have a role where you're starting from the bottom, going on this journey to who she's supposed to be. And
Yeah,
so initially, when I found out about Kimmy, I was like, I am terrified of this person. I'm terrified because all I knew was that she was a stripper, a victim of sex trafficking. And it was like, oh my God, that is very heavy. But then
yeah.
when I spoke to Tyler and he told me the journey, I was like, oh. Yeah. I was
Like, oh,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, okay, okay," and I was very intrigued, so that's all I can give you.
Yes.
Continue to expect the unexpected. The twists and turns are going to continue even more, even deeper. It's gonna be good.
I already know. So let's talk about you working with Tyler Perry because this is actually your second go round working with
Mhm.
Tyler. You also worked with him on Divorcing the Black and with Tyler and Megan Good. So one of the things that it was funny because when I mentioned it to Rico, he cracked up and I was like, Tyler has this reputation for how quickly he films on set.
Ooh.
And and I told Rico, I said, you guys come in and it's like, hey, we're getting ready to film this series. Oh, great. And you get the script and it says in 3 days. And so for you, your filmography is nuts. Like the roles that you have had, the TV shows, the films, you know, talk to me about adjusting your style of filming with working with Tyler Perry.
Yeah. So you're absolutely right. He does shoot very fast, unlike anything I've ever seen in my life. It's fascinating. Like the way that TPS is a well-oiled machine, it's going to be in history books. You're going to have to study it. And you really just you have to be there to understand it because it is quick and it's efficient. But as an actor, I never feel rushed. I've never felt
Mhm.
rushed. Even when I did the movie, my first time working, it took a little bit to get the cadence of what we were doing. But I think because I have a background in theater, um, just that preparedness and being ready for a living, breathing thing. Because Tyler's background comes from theater, sometimes he'll just throw something at you. He'll give you a line. So it's like you got to stay on your feet and just kind of be ready to play, but still prepared. But I think in terms of every job, any director, any set I go on, I am open. I'm so open to whatever they need. If you want to go fast, cool. If you're slower and you want to do 50 million takes, cool. If if
Mhm.
if you want me to say it word perfect, I've been on some sets where maybe the line was there's the laptop and I said, "Oh, there is a laptop." They're like, "It's theirs with a contraction. Don't say oh." Okay. And I adjust. I adjust. And I think that was one of the things when I did Divorce in the Black, since it was my first time shooting with Tyler, I adjusted. I observe and I see, okay, this is what we're doing. Cool.
Yeah.
And the show was no different. Of course, it was just way, way more. It
Yeah.
was a lot more. But it's still one scene at a time, one take at a time. And by the end of it, we have a whole series.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I want to backtrack because you mentioned, your way of decompressing and coming out of some of the roles and just kind of tapping back into Taylor is with your Taylor playlist. Give me three things on the Taylor playlist. What you listening to?
Ooh, okay. Absolutely. Buy You a Drink by T-Pain.
What?
Yes,
Oh, snap.
I that is one of my favorite songs in the world. It just feels good, and, like,
Listen,
especially
oh,
after a heavy, heavy day, I've been crying all day, and I put
yes.
that on, I'm like, "I'm alright."
The minute you hear baby girl, what's
Yes,
your name? Can I talk to you? Let me buy you a drink.
yes. I
Yeah.
love
Okay,
that
I'm sorry.
song.
I love it.
Then I would say, just a there's a lot of songs on there, but
Okay.
definitely, "Overjoyed" by Stevie Wonder. I think that is one of the most
Oh,
beautiful songs in the world.
isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then "Free" by Denise Williams. That is probably my favorite song in the entire world. There's so much more on there. Beyonce, there's all kind of stuff.
Yes.
Those are, like, 3 that just popped in my head because I
Yeah,
listened to it earlier.
you definitely can get the aux cord in the car. You
Oh, yeah.
definitely can get the aux cord.
Yeah, I
I
played it
love
live.
it. Absolutely. So you started acting at the age of 14. I was reading and doing my research and I was like, you are like a veteran already in the game. No, no, serious. Because sometimes people equate like veteran with like, oh yeah, I've been acting since I was 3 years old. But no, you are literally a veteran in the game. You began acting at 14 in Roscoe's Jenkins.
Mhm.
I always mess the title up. What is it? Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins. There it
Yeah.
is. There it is. Talk to me about just the journey to starting your acting career at such a young age.
So I'm from Texas. I grew
Mhm.
up in Katy, which is a suburb right out of Houston. All my family is from Houston and Louisiana, and they are not in the entertainment industry. Um, my family loves art though, art and
Yes.
culture. And so when I was very little, like 4, I was actually pretty shy. And
Mm.
I came home one day and told my mom I was going to be in a school play. And she was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah," because they were looking for little kids and I could read. So I did it and I
Mm.
really loved it because I've always had a very vivid imagination. Like, I
Mhm.
loved playing pretend. So she was kind of like, "Okay, she likes performing." So from there, started getting me into like performing arts summer camps, dance classes, just ways to perform. But when I was about 7 or 8, I had my first modeling job, and that just like came through friends. They knew you're a cute little kid, you like to
Yeah.
perform and stuff, but I got paid
Wow.
and I was on a billboard. And so my mom, she's an educator being herself. She was like,
Mhm.
"Okay, clearly there's opportunity here. Let's educate ourselves." And she signed me up for an acting class, but it ended up being an adult acting class.
Oh,
It was an
really?
improv, yeah, I was like 8 or 9, and the instructor, her name was Elise Lester in Houston, and she was like, "She can stay if she wants to," and I was like, "I'd like to stay." My mom, I know my mom was like, "This weird little girl, like, you won't say hi to people, but you'll go to a class full of."
Right.
And after that class, Elise told my mom, she was like, "She's ready to audition. I'd like to give her a referral to my agent. Like she's good to go." And from there, that's when opportunities for commercials and
Yeah.
auditioning really came in. And that Welcome Home Roscoe Jenkins was one of those auditions. And I remember at the time they actually were like, she might not work a lot because I have braces.
Oh,
And coincidentally, the braces are what got me the role. I mean,
see?
the performance, but that was something Malcolm
Mhm.
Lee said. He was like, "The braces got me," because of
See?
the role.
That just goes back to what God got for you is for you. You and your
Absolutely,
braces, baby. Come on in here and get this role.
absolutely, absolutely.
Wow. So you got married. You're still in the honeymoon phase.
Yes.
Congratulations. First of all, picture perfect wedding. You were the most gorgeous bride. I was like,
Thank you.
dang, maybe I should try again. You were the most gorgeous bride. Just talk to me about the married life, you don't have to go into detail. That's your personal life, but just I just
Yeah.
love that for you because you just beam. You just beam and you look so beautiful in the pictures. And it was a fairy tale wedding if I have ever seen one.
It was a fairy tale. It was the most perfect day. It took so much planning, so much. I am a Virgo, so I want everything perfect,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yes.
it was perfect. Even if there were hiccups, it was all perfect. So it looked half as wonderful as it actually was. So know
Oh,
that much. But married life is great. It is
yeah,
beautiful. I married my best friend. So, I felt like we were already doing life together, already supporting each other,
yeah.
already have seen each other through so many seasons and just growing. So, being actually married and having the ring and all this stuff, it's
Oh,
just
wait, wrong hand. Yeah. I had
you
the wrong hand.
it's fun, but it's also so rewarding to have somebody to figure things out with, to disagree with, and no, you ain't going nowhere. It's just the security that I feel, the support that I feel
Yes.
is unmatchable. And I think that it's important, even, it is my private life, it's my personal life, but
Mhm.
being an example of two young Black people who love
Yeah.
each other completely, I don't mind speaking on that ever. It is
Yes.
possible. He is amazing. We are good. And
Yeah.
we're just growing every day. Yeah.
I love that for you. Something else that I was very excited to learn about you was that you also do voice acting.
Mhm.
I think that is so dope, like actresses like you, Cree Summer, Kyla Pratt, like I love okay, the GOAT, the
Cree?
GOAT,
Yeah.
the
The
GOAT.
goat.
The goat. So I was surprised because I was like, I gotta let my grandbaby. So now I'm ready to go back to Curious George and go through all and just look like, oh, 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 that's her right there. That's
Yeah.
her. I absolutely love that. Any plans to do any more voice acting?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm still auditioning for voiceover roles just like anything else, call me.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I would love to do like a Pixar movie. I would love to do a Disney movie, like just a movie. I've never done a movie. I've only done TV.
right.
So I would love to do a movie next.
Oh, that is fantastic. Well, Taylor, I appreciate you talking to me today. I'm trying to keep an eye on the time because I'm like, I said I was going to stay within a certain amount of time,
Oh,
but
you
oh,
good.
I'm good. We can keep
Yeah.
going. Okay, we can keep on going. Listen, because we can just lean on in. So, talk to me about if there are, I know there are a lot of young Black women and young men who want to get into acting, but they really don't know where to start. And I know that you, at one point in your career, you did move to LA, to pursue your acting career. Can you just maybe give some pointers or maybe just a overall kind of, I don't want to say a blueprint, but just some advice from someone who has been there and done that, of where a young person or even someone older interested in acting, like the path or the steps that they can take
Yeah.
towards that goal.
Yeah. So, two parts. If you want to act,
Mhm.
you have to just act. That is the best way to keep it going, to get in alignment, to let the world know that you are an actor.
Mhm.
Act. Find a play, find a class. Something I tell people all the time is you have to be a student of your craft. So there are so many options, especially now, like with the internet. There's all different types of price points. And, of course, you want to do your due diligence. You don't ever want to get scammed. I have been scammed many a time trying to just learn. So I know it's hard, but
Mhm.
with each step you learn different things. So I would say just completely dive in and find a way to act while learning about the business, learning about your headshots, learning about um different styles. Do you want to do TV and film? Do you want to only do theater? Do you want to do both? What's the difference between the techniques for either or? Like all of these things, learning and just kind of geeking out about the craft is where to start. And in those spaces, you'll have forward movement. You'll
Right.
learn and be connected. This friend from this class is actually a writer and they need somebody to be in this thing, and this thing has this person, and it all starts connecting when you put yourself in the space, which brings me to the second part.
Hmm.
Like I said, I'm from Texas.
Hmm.
So I had to leave where I'm from to have the career that I've had thus far. I went to college in Atlanta. Then I moved to LA. And I moved back to Atlanta
Hmm.
when I got engaged. But I've never been afraid to move when it's
Hmm.
time to move. When opportunity is calling somewhere else, I will pack up everything I have and go. And I think, if you're in an environment or a city that doesn't have theater or doesn't have opportunities, then it should be a part, if you really want to act, it should be a part of your plan to put yourself in a place where you can do that. Now, I think sometimes people will think that means I'm just going to go act and let it happen. I had many jobs in LA. I was a substitute teacher at LAUSD for many years. I was a host at a restaurant. Some days I would sub, host, then go tape auditions. Like
Wow.
you gotta have funds to
Right.
do
Right.
take class, to do the thing.
Absolutely.
But it's all an investment back into yourself. And so like it takes a lot of hard work to be in some of these spaces, but if you believe in yourself, then other people will see that too. Like you got
Absolutely.
something to prove here.
Yes. Yes. I'm going to ask you this, and it may, pardon me if it's, I don't know, but I always want to ask people, no matter what career space they are in, what was the moment that you felt like I made it as an actress? You know what I mean? Like, for instance, you can have roles here, you can, like girl number 2 walking in the back door, so on and so forth. But then because everyone quantifies success differently, right? So what I may have made $30 last week and like, mama, I made it. Like we
Yeah.
moving on up. And someone else is like, $30, girl. Like I would be depressed. So for you, Taylor, was there a moment where you were like, thank you, Lord, like I'm here, I made it. Like I am an actress. Like,
So I think there's stages of that because it's
mhm,
always something that you're once you get it, you probably
yep,
already exposed to the next thing. But
yeah,
I do have key like pivotal moments. The first time I was ever asked to come back on a show, that was Black Lightning. I did like one episode and that turned into five. So
yes,
that made me feel like it. And then there was another time I was shooting Snowfall and All American Homecoming at the same time. And
okay.
there was one day I had to do both jobs in the same day. And that made me feel like,
Like I
I'm
ate.
doing like, I'm doing it. I'm driving from downtown LA all the way
Okay.
to like, whew, busy life of an actor. And that made me feel it. And then of course, like with Beauty and Black, seeing my
Mhm.
name as number one on the call sheet was like,
Yes.
dang, like, whew. But every moment is a thank you God moment
Yes,
to be
absolutely,
working. Yeah.
absolutely,
But yeah, there's
absolutely.
phases, I think.
Yes, wow, and it's so funny, I just watched the documentary Number One on the Call Sheet, so when you
Oh,
said that, like, it hit like, "Oh, yes, number my girl is number 1 on the call sheet." I love that for you, I love that for you.
that was an amazing documentary too.
It
I know that
really
they like
was.
barely scratched the surface of their experiences. I'm
Yes, and watching it, I thought to myself, like, it was 2 parts, and for those of you who have not watched, part 1 was, on the men in Hollywood, and part 2 was the women in Hollywood, and I'm sure you saw it just like I did. There was a stark contrast between those 2 films.
yeah.
The men were like, "Yeah, such and such." It was like a bruh, bruh, and then the women were like, "Listen, we have to deal with hair, makeup. We have to deal with just being cast as the sassy friend. We
Yeah.
have to deal with all these different things. What challenges have you faced along your journey that, just kind of, I don't want to say stuck with you, but just you kind of keep it in the back of your mind, like, okay, got me once, won't get me again.
There's been a few.
Okay.
There's been a few, but one I've actually never mentioned this before in an interview.
Okay.
I was 14 and I was up for my first series regular role on a show, and I had made it through like all the rounds. It was me and somebody else, and I ended up not getting it. And again, my mom is not in the industry, so my mom was calling the agent. Why? She's been out of school all these days. We do it like why? Why didn't she get
Yeah.
it? I want to know.
Right.
And they were like, production said that the boy who would be playing her brother, who's already on the show, they're just too different in skin tone. She's not dark enough. Huh?
I know no one melanated said that to your mama.
In the Black community, what does
What?
skin tone have to do with brother, sister? Like,
Okay. Wow.
so at that point, even as a child, I was like, this don't make sense. And it has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with my talent.
Yeah.
It's so many factors that I can't change the color of my I mean, I may go in the sun, but
Yeah.
like
No,
I am
no,
who I am. And
absolutely.
I think that lesson was it carries me even now. Like I can do my best. I can give everything I have. What is for me is for me. And then also how things are received, how the public views me or whatever, it's not my business.
Mhm.
My business is to go do my job, to be a good person, and to show up. And I think that has carried me thus far, and it will continue. Like some stuff just does not make sense in
Mm.
life, and especially Hollywood. So you gotta let
Wow.
it roll off and keep doing you, keep doing your best.
Yes, absolutely. Do you have an idea of a dream role that you would like to play?
Yeah.
Look at
There's
that
a few.
smile. Your smile is just you just lit up. You just lit up. I
There's
love
a
it.
few. There's a few. I would love to do some action. I love the movie like The Woman King. I think that roles like that and movies like that, the way that they showed these beautiful Black women being strong, but also the
Mhm.
vulnerability, which I think is strength too.
Yes.
One of my favorite directors is Gina Prince Bythewood, and she does that in like everything that she does.
Mhm.
But I would also say I really want like a moment like What's Love Got to Do with It, where Angela Bassett played Tina Turner. I would love to play some real character, real figure, real person
Mhm.
that I have to just completely transform and dive into. That's a dream.
Do you have anyone in mind?
I do. And I'm starting to explore more of who, but I'm very interested in Chaka Khan's life, in her story. I'm
I
very
would
interested.
I would love that for you. And you do executive producing as well, so I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I would absolutely love to see that.
I would love to do that.
Okay, so we need to go ahead and just put that out in the atmosphere, right? Because I'm all about manifestation, so we just need to put that into the atmosphere.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be fantastic. Okay, so let's talk about, I already told the people that you are a good human being, a great human being. You are a court appointed advocate,
Mhm.
right? Can you talk to me about that?
Yes, I'm a court-appointed special advocate for youth in foster care. So it's a complete volunteer position. They actually have them in pretty much every major city,
Mhm.
wherever, whatever state you're in. But we're just an additional voice for youth in care. Typically, it's assigned to cases or to children who need a little bit more support, maybe behavioral, maybe biological parents have passed away, whatever the situation is, they just need a little bit more support to get them to their permanent home, be it back in their biological family's home, to stay in their biological family's home, or to, of course, be adopted. And so, what I do is I make sure everyone else is doing their job. So,
Oh,
whereas a social worker may have 30 kids on her slate, or an attorney might have 20 kids that he's working with, I have one. So, if things are taking a little bit longer, as they sometimes do in our judicial system, I send an email. Maybe I'll send two or three. I make phone calls. I can call the school and I check in with the young person to see what they want and what they feel. For example, a girl that I worked with, her and her brother had been separated. She had a little brother and she wanted more time with him. So I wrote it in my court report. And judges actually listened so much to Casa's report.
wow.
It blew my mind. But yeah, we were in court and the judge was reading it, and an attorney was like, she already has visitation with her brother. And the judge was like, the Casa is requesting more. So give her more. And she got more time with her brother.
Mhm.
So it's things like that, like I have the kid's best interest in mind. Not saying anyone else
Right,
does, but
right.
I can ask for she wants more time with her brother. They're just worried about making sure she has her food, her shelter, and things. But
Mhm.
children need so much more than that. And I love being able to advocate on their behalf just because I'm an adult. I what I says, what I say means a little bit more. I'm like, no, what she says means the most. So
Absolutely.
very
Was there
good.
anything in particular that led you to that, led you to become a CASA? Was there like a personal experience or someone that you knew that was in the foster care system? Because I have an aunt and she does foster care. She's the foster parent.
Mhm.
And, some things that happened in our family, like there was a time when someone else in our family had to foster her, which led her to, want in turn want to give that back to other children. Was there something in particular that led you to this particular point, of your humanitarianism? Did I say that right?
Yeah,
That word is
that was
kicking my
it.
behind, ain't it?
Yes, so my grandmother, I was very, very close to my grandmother. She
Mhm.
passed away in 2016.
Okay.
But she was a foster parent majority of my life, and she was a child advocate in Houston. And I knew way too much about the child welfare system as a kid.
Okay. I
And
guess
it
not
just
right.
was not it
Mhm.
was not right. It wasn't
Right.
right for these kids to be away from their parents, for their parents to do, for these situations. I never thought it was right. It never sat right with me. And when I moved to LA, just trying to find my way, trying to grind and figure things out. I used to always go to the SAG-AFTRA panels, screenings, because it's free to us members. So I would go get my little entertainment, and I watched this movie called Night Comes On. I believe that's what it's titled, and it was directed by a woman named Jordana Shapiro, about two Black girls who were in foster care. And I looked up who Jordana Shapiro was. It was a white woman, so I was kind of like,
Oh.
what? I gotta see
Mhm.
this. Like, I kind of
Right.
was I wanna see what this is about. Like, what is this?
Mhm.
It was the most beautiful film.
Wow.
Dominique Fishback was in it. It was beautiful,
Mhm.
and the story was so real, and I found out it was co-written by a woman. Her name is, I'm gonna say her name wrong, but she founded or co-founded, The Shade Room. I think her name is
Okay.
Angelica.
Yes.
Um,
Mhm.
but Jordana got connected with Angelica because of an organization called Peace for Kids, which is I volunteered there for a while,
Okay.
and it is a Saturday program that caters to youth in foster care in the Compton and Watts area, and it's just a program unlike anything I've ever seen, founded by a man named Zaid Gale, and it teaches them resilience, meditation, how to create healthy meals for themselves. They have to make the meals that we eat after the
Mhm.
programming, arts, crafts, sports. It's just kind of a safe haven for youth in care. Sometimes it's the only place they can see their siblings on a weekend and give the foster parents a bit of like, an
Mhm.
afternoon and morning to go do what they got to do. And a young person who I became close with, her name was, or she was 8 years old. Her name was Michaela.
Mhm.
she was about to get adopted, and she had all these advancements that she made, and it was because of the advocacy of her casa. And so I was like, "Oh, that's what my grandmother did too." And I
Mhm.
immediately signed up, and I've been volunteering ever since. That was in 2020. So going on 5 years now.
Thank you. Thank you for that because there are so many children who need people to advocate for them. You
Absolutely.
know, my best friend, she's actually learning now and she's in the stages of learning to become an advocate for special needs children.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah,
wonderful.
I am so excited to call her and tell her like, "Girl, guess what? Taylor be advocating too." So I'm very excited to tell her that and encourage her, you know,
Yeah,
because there is a lot to learn.
there's a need. There's a need. I wish every youth in foster care could have a casa. They all need the extra
Yeah,
wraparound.
absolutely, absolutely. Okay, well, I thank you so much for talking with me today. This has been absolutely fantastic. And I want to thank you for sharing your gifts and talents with us. I want to thank you for all the children that you advocate for. Just, I appreciate you more than you ever know. And it's been such a pleasure speaking with you today.
It was so nice speaking with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when season 2, the real season 2, because you know the girl on TikTok said, "I just watched season 2." I'm like, "No, you
You did
didn't, boo.
not watch season 2. You did not watch.
You did not watch season 2, boo boo." But when season 2 comes, I welcome you to come back and chat with me some more. Hopefully, you will.
Yeah.
And the sky's the limit for you. And I just look forward to all of your future projects. And you always have a safe place to come chat with me about anything that you have going on.
Thank you so much. I will be back. We'll have a whole new world to talk about.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. When you
Crazy.
come back to portray Chaka Khan, and I'll be in the background like, I feel for you.
Hey, yeah. Speak it.
I know, absolutely. Thank you so much, Taylor, and have a beautiful day.
You're welcome. Have a great day too.
Bye bye.